Greetings. This is the Ghetto Free Press, October the 1st, 2013. I'm going to give you a historic account of the Quitman 10+2 court case of Miss Lula Smart. She went to court September 23rd, 2013 after over 3 years of being charged by District Attorney David Miller, the Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, and G.B.R. agents here in the South Georgia region of the state. The court ended in a mistrial of Miss Lula Smart, and I can't say whether the state prosecutors will try to take this case further or not. If you want the background of the Quitman 10+2 case that started over 3 years ago, simply because these 12 outstanding people chose to register some people in Brooks County, both black and white and others, some of whom had never voted before. These outstanding citizens, many of them with college degrees, most of them educators, and for the first time in Brooks County, blacks dominated the Brooks County School Board of Education. And Assistant District Attorney Brad Shealy was the president. And of course, Dr. Nancy Dennard, an outstanding female, black African American, became the president of that board. And it is apparent that Assistant District Attorney Brad Shealy did not like that change in the power structure. All you have to do is watch some of the other videos of the board meeting that I have recorded. Now, as the trial ended in a mistrial Friday of last week, before I get into the beef of what I have about that trial, I want to ask you a few questions. What did the Quitman Free Press, the local newspaper in Quitman, what did they report concerning that trial and the beef of what took place in the courtroom? What did the Valdosta Daily Times, the only newspaper here in the metro city closest to Quitman, just 18 miles east of Quitman? Sure, they did 3 articles, and even after the trial ended in a mistrial, on Friday, today, they ran a very short and brief article about the trial, which covered nothing that took place in the courtroom for the most part, because I stayed there every day, and I don't think they was in the courtroom long enough to tell the information that I'm going to give you in a few minutes. We thank them for the 3 articles that they wrote, but as Paul Harvey would say this evening, we're going to give you the rest of the story. What did your radio station report about this trial and the beef of this trial? What did CNN, ABC, MSNBC, and other newspapers, radio and television report about this trial? What did the Democratic Party here in Valdosta, Brooks County, and Lowndes County, and the state of Georgia report about this trial? What did the civil rights organizations such as the NAACP, the SCLC, the Urban League, the Nation of Islam, and other Christian, Muslim, Jews, Hindu, and others, what did they report about this trial, since it dealt with voting rights and how it relates to the 1964 Voting Rights Act, as well as the attempt in North Carolina and southern states, including the state of Florida, to suppress, tighten voting rules, to stop black active duty military veterans, disabled veterans, even the people stationed at Moody Air Force Base, through these tightening of voting rights laws that have been proven to be against the black African Americans and those who are the ancestry of former slaves here in the United States of America. The United States Department of Justice was furnished DVDs through Representative Tyrone Brooks, the late Robert Brown, Gabio, SCLC, and others concerning the Quitman 10 and the racial problems in Brooks County concerning voting rights acts and public meetings not being advertised to the general public, not having a recording secretary at public meetings, not following Robert's rules of order, not even calling a meeting to order. Can you believe it? Names left off the voting rolls. One particular lady, two in fact, sent in an application to become poll watchers, and the supervisor never responded to them. Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp was furnished with DVDs about what was going on in Brooks County. And Brian P. Kemp, the Secretary of State of Georgia, sent an investigator down from Macon. And we met at Pastor Avery's church. You will see him in some points of this video. Yet the Secretary of State have yet to respond to the major problems at the Brooks County Board of Elections. And so we can only ask, what is going on here in the state of Georgia? And so this evening we want to turn to the court case concerning Miss Lula Smart on September 23rd, 2013, 9 o'clock a.m. at the Brooks County Courthouse. This is, again, the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and I'm reporting what others ignore. Lend me your ears as we begin to reflect on what happened here in Brooks County, Georgia. Greetings, I'm George Boston Rhines, and again I'm in Quitman, Georgia, in the county of Brooks, at the Quitman 10+2 trial with Lula Smart. And I must say, it is indeed a very informative morning. We're now going into the afternoon hour, and today is Friday, and we're going to see what is up. I must say that. Yes, that was Friday, but let's go back to Monday. Let's go back to Monday because the Valdosta Daily Times and South Georgia News Media and television stations said a little bit, but for the most part, this particular court case was like many other incidents and cases, like my criminal trespass warrant, a 14-year-old girl at Pine Grove Middle School being handcuffed face down on the floor, charged with a felony, and accused of striking a teacher. Come to find out it was false. The KJ death that has gained national media attention, much of it have been ignored by the press. So we want to fill you in with this particular case here with the Quitman 10+2. First of all, before we go into the courtroom, in terms of what happened in the courtroom, let me talk to you and say to you, hear ye, O Israel. You don't know nothing about this, but because I was in the courtroom, I can report firsthand. I'm going to report what they ignored. There were 300 people on the first day of jury selection in the courtroom in Brooks County. Moreover, the South Georgia News Media was not there. So how could you get the information? These 12 outstanding citizens are the highest caliber that Brooks County has ever produced. Yet, Lula Smart, one of the 12, finally got their day in court. The Honorable Judge Joe Lane was on the bench along with a jury that consisted of a majority white makeup. And I do mean a white majority makeup. Only 2 blacks was on the jury. And they had 2 alternates. And they were white. Now white don't make it right and black don't make it right. But right always make it right. And so at this juncture, I want to ask you a question after we look at the George Zimmerman case. When have you ever seen an all-black jury? When have you seen a majority black jury? And then they tell us, stop playing the race card. So now, the judge in this case never asked, as they read the names of these potential jurors, there were many no-shows, but nobody ever made this statement to the sheriff, issue a bench warrant for those people for failure to appear. So the question is there no repercussions for failure to answer summons for jury process for the jury process in Brooks County? Let me repeat. Are there no repercussions? Can you come or not come, or do you have a choice? Many of us in the courtroom were amazed by that. And this, I'm reporting now before they even started the trial. We saw a sheriff deputy in the north side of the room next to the jury texting on his cell phone. Yet the Judge Lane, scolded the members in the audience and told them you can't use cell phones and to stop texting. Well, we all witnessed the deputy. So why should the general public be scolded for something that even a sheriff deputy was doing in the courtroom? Moreover, we had been screened prior to coming into the meeting, so we didn't have any cell phones. Moreover, we noticed during the trial a white female juror in a red blouse was sleeping in the jury box. Many of us witnessed this, including one of the Quitman 10, Nancy Denner. The Honorable Judge Lane spoke about many distractions in the courtroom and seemed frustrated by the old courtroom environment and the impediments presented in the case or during the case. Judge Lane noted that sunlight was coming in through the top window. Somebody needs to address that in future trials to eliminate that. Squeaking door hinges, noise from hardwood floors from the heels of women's shoes. The judge talked about this. Courtroom was extremely cold, and so people wore big coats and complained throughout the trial about the cold temperatures in the courtroom. The Honorable Judge Lane said that in 35 years he had never seen people leave the courtroom without the judge's permission during the jury selection process. It seems, and it was obvious, that Judge Lane didn't want to be there in the courtroom to try that case. Microphones did not work on the first day, and on the last day of trial, the fifth day, they still had not fixed the microphones. And this was an impediment to Lula Smart receiving a just and fair trial. Judge Lane issued an order that no one record in front of the courthouse in order to protect the jurors. If this is true, why did not, before the trial started, preserve spaces for the jury? There was no places reserved for the jurors, so they parked anywhere, I guess. And so when they was coming out of the front area, because no other news media was reporting, yes, I recorded. I recorded as I would in Madison, Florida, in Port St. Joe, Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, in Homerville, Georgia, in Coffee County, Georgia, in Thomas County, and in other, including Lowndes County, following court cases. But Judge Lane said we could not even record in front of the courthouse. So we are looking at that concerning freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and our right of free movement. After we brought this up, and I think the judge saw something wrong with it, so he designated an area in the back of the building for the jurors and gave them parking spaces and gave them the proper security, and they exited the back door. And the people did not leave until the jury had left the building, which I think was outstanding. But from then on, the judge should have came back and told us, you can now record because you do have some rights under our form of government. But that was never done. Once again, this is just another part on a long journey as we move forward in the case of the Quitman 10+2 Lula Smart. Get ready, get ready, get ready.